Good morning. Welcome to Inventing Daily with Carolyn Keane. Today I have with me Ada Lloyd. She's a coach, trainer, speaker, and creator of Momentum Planner. I can't wait to hear about that. Ada, at Inventing Daily, I work with a lot of inventors, and we tend to get very caught up in our invention or our product or whatever, probably to the exclusion of a lot of things like family and the rest of the world. And on your website, you've got, which is adalloyd.com, you have a lot of programs, and I think several would be great for inventors. One is, do you own your own business or does it own you? So tell me a little bit about you and what we can do.
Well, a little bit about me is my adventure started years ago when, as a child, I was being sexually abused by my father. And at the time, nobody talked about that.
Wow.
And so it was a matter of, over time, figuring out what I could do to change my life. And a pivotal point came when I had an epiphany that said, you are not responsible for your father's choices, but you are responsible for how you allow them to impact your life.
Oh, right.
And so that really started me on a journey of self-discovery. And there weren't programs there to deal with those kinds of issues at that time. And so I jumped into the self-help arena. And it was like, okay, take a piece here. Does it work? Keep it. Take a piece here. Does it not work? Toss it. And keep the pieces that worked, and then figure out ways to build bridges to connect them. And over the course of many years, I was able to find a path to hope and to healing, and to do things to help other women who had been in the same situation. And then I found that those tools also help people with trauma. Well,
Right.
fast forward, I had a brick and mortar business, and everything else I was doing was pro bono on the side. And the time came that although the business was very successful from the world standpoint, it was, I was getting national accolades for some of the things that we were doing in that. It was leaving me feeling bereft. And it started the business like so many other business people do, so many other inventors, so many people that are passionate about something that they want. And with the idea that it was going to be a way to accomplish something else that meant a great deal to me. So having this business was going to give me the money and the time to do all of these other things that were really important to me.
Right.
And I was going to enjoy the business in the process. Well, I found myself with a mantra that said, if I just survive the next 2 weeks, but it was a rolling 2 weeks.
Always.
There was just something would go out this end of the pipeline and something else would come in this end of the pipeline. And what I found was that I no longer owned the business. The business owned me. And that was not what I signed up for.
I think a lot of inventors do that. If I can get through this prototyping, or if I can get through I just need to get that show done, or if I can, just get a licensing deal. Trust me, I've done all of those things and, been successful at it, but it's not to your point, hasn't been quite as fulfilling as you had hoped. Exciting, always on the edge, but
and it can become life-consuming.
Yes, very much.
And so one of the things that I was in the interior design industry.
I'm an interior designer as well. Yeah.
Okay. And so one of the things that I realized was, while I was getting all of these accolades for things that we were doing, they were basically coming from vendors that I was making very happy because of the amount of product I was buying from them. And so I was contributing to their top line and their bottom line. But as my top line grew, my frustration with employees, with customers, with vendors, and with the state of California as a business person also grew. And my bottom line did not necessarily grow in a commensurate fashion.
Right.
And my time and my freedom to do the things that I was so passionate about just kept looking farther and farther and farther away. And so there came a point when the economy turned soft about 15 years ago.
Right.
And then the a large, I did primarily retail, but I also had a large wholesale client. And when they wound up going bankrupt, life got really ugly. And I said, no, this is not what I signed up for. It's time to make a change. And so when I shut the business down, the first thing I did was I stepped back and I took time for me. I said, you know, you did not build the business you set out to build. To the world, it might have looked like you built a very successful business, but it was not the business that you set out to build. So before you embark on another entrepreneurial journey, you better sit down and create a better foundation and know what it is that you want in life.
Right.
And that led to the creation of the 7 pillars of a happy and successful life, which are personal, your relationship with yourself, physical, everything about your health and your body, emotional, how you roll with things like COVID-19 and the unexpected things that life tosses at us, spiritual, however you define spiritual, professional, whatever you do, whether it's as an inventor or an auto mechanic or an attorney, everything about that, financial, about your stability and your plans, and relationships of all kinds. And once you know what success looks like to you,
Right. That's a personal thing. Right.
yeah, each of these areas, because it's not what society says, it's not what mom and dad said, it's what you in your heart of hearts know is right for you. You can create your unique definition of success. Now, when you know what that looks like, you can pour a foundation, and like for a duplex. And this foundation is as you build personally and you build professionally, whatever that looks like to you, what you're doing is you're building on a common foundation and you're building in tandem. That will guarantee you that you will always own your business. Your business will never own you.
Yeah, I think that's a challenge because a lot of people, not just inventors, but go all in on one direction, whether it's getting the prototypes made or filing for the patent or getting to that show, of which now they're going to be virtual, but we get consumed with that. And for myself, I can say that I didn't really care what my family said. They were very concerned. They thought I was in over my head. And for me, I wasn't. It turns out that the market changed, and so it did change my world. But like you, I think it was about 2006 through 8, the world changed. Again, like it's changing now. So what would be the first step that you would tell somebody that's maybe, I would call them passionate. Most of the inventors I know are passionate / crazy. I'm one of them, so I can say that. We're not, we don't think in the linear terms that somebody that's in banking does, or they're all about strict numbers. What would be the first thing you would say to somebody starting a business or in the midst of creating something that could maybe help them with starting to have balance? Because that's a process. Obviously, it's a process.
So here's the thing is answer to that's going to kind of depend on if they're starting out or if they've already got a business. So let's take for a minute first that they're starting out. If they have created this unique definition of success, which is the end road of the 7 pillars of a happy and successful life, then what they know is they've got a filter where they can use that definition as a mindful filter in the process of making decisions. So let's say that, you know, they've got all of this, but they're passionate about bringing this new innovative product to market. And so they've got everything laid out of what they need to do it. My comment to them would be, every time you've got a step, take just a few minutes and look at that unique definition of success and say, is this step in alignment with who I want to become and what I want to not just accomplish, but who I want to be as a person, you know, what I want my life to look like. And if it's in alignment, terrific, you know, go for it full blast. If it's not in alignment, then ask yourself the question, how can I tweak this next step so it stays in alignment with all of these things that matter the most to me? And so in the process of bringing a product to market, it might be that I need to, you know, license, you know, a product rather than to, you know, do everything
Manufacture it. Yeah.
of creating and all of that. Maybe it's that I need to recognize the fact that I've got a skill set here that is unique and marketable, but I'm investing a lot of time over here in this skill set that I don't have because it's essential if I'm going to bring this to market. Well, maybe that's time to look for an employee or a partner or somebody else with this skill set and structure something that legally makes sense, that is legally going to protect you, but is going to allow you to focus on what you do that is great,
Right.
rather than trying to focus on other things where you may not even be good, where they're a struggle, but you recognize how essential they are. And so you're creating a structure by using that definition of success that is unique to you and using it as a filter in the process of making decisions. You're saving yourself from putting yourself in a position that ultimately you're not going to be happy.
Right. Right. Now, is there that a course that you offer, or is that I mean,
I talk about the 7, you know, pillars of a happy and successful life. And so that really is the foundation
okay.
for everything else. So that's where it starts. But beyond that, I have a coaching program for business people, either starting out or those that are more advanced. And it's the, you know, it's about, do you own your business or does your business own you?
Okay.
And so, yeah, you know, if somebody is already got a business and they see that it's like where I was all those years ago, before,
right.
you know, I figured this out, you got a choice. You can say, okay, I'm going to step back and I'm going to see what I need to do to reimagine my business so that I take back ownership of it. It's no longer owning me. Or, you know, am I simply going to hang out there and go for the ride and let it own me, and it is what it is?
Well, I think it's pivotal right now because a lot of people have the time, so to speak, whether they're unemployed right now or furloughed or whatever, to maybe refigure or look at where they're at and maybe do that this or that kind of an approach. Do I want to do this or do I want to do that? And reevaluate if that's the right path, especially now. I mean, like it happened for, it sounds like you and me in 2008. How is that going to look well, nobody knows how it'll look in 6 months from now, but is that where you want to take your business or your idea? And is it actually working the way you had hoped or thought? So I think now is a good time to reevaluate everything, because a lot of
I've,
us do have time.
I've collected inspirational quotes for over 30 years. I've got thousands of them. I dearly love them. One of my favorites is from a man by the name of Russell M. Nelson. And he says, who you are becoming is more important than what you are doing.
Oh, right,
And what we are doing has been so disrupted
right,
in the several months that it's been a wonderful opportunity to step back and to say, was what I was doing taking me towards the person I want to become and accomplishing the things that matter most to me that I want to accomplish? You know, the legacy I want to create for my family or for the world or for whatever. And if what we were doing was not truly taking us there, then maybe this has been the perfect time to step back and to refine who it is that we want to become and determine how, as we ease out into a new normal, whatever that winds up looking like, that what we are doing is taking us on a path to who we want to become. And, you know, most people who invent things, I don't think invent a widget because this widget is somehow incredibly fascinating. They invent something because they see a purpose for it. They see how it could change somebody's life.
right.
They see how it could make society better. Somebody, you know, be more comfortable, have, you know, something that would save them time or whatever. There's a purpose behind that invention.
Right.
And that purpose is what's really driving them. And so by
Well, yeah,
focusing,
sometimes too, like originally what I said, is to the exclusion of the rest of their life. And it can become all consuming, mentally, physically, financially, and that time to reevaluate. I mean, now is the perfect time. Now is the perfect time to do that.
and you know, inventors and business people, entrepreneurs are not unique in that. You know, there's people that become so passionate about exercise that it takes over their lives.
Right.
Become passionate about all sorts of different things in different areas of our lives. And anytime, you know, balance doesn't mean that you're at, you know, 50% of where you want to be, you know, in every area of your life. And for some people, spiritual is more important than financial. You know, for other people,
Right.
relationships is more important than physical. That's a choice we each get to make. But the way we create our lives should be the result of having chosen the life that we want and what it's going to look like.
Don't you think that just letting people know they have a choice? I think a lot of people feel like my parents, you know, wanted me to do this, or I was destined to do this, or I fell into it because my family had this business and now I'm doing it. So they don't always feel like they've had a choice. And I think that telling people they have it every day is a choice. How are you going to respond to COVID or being sequestered or being isolated is all a choice. It's a dramatic change for everybody that we have choices every day. And yeah, everybody's telling us we have to stay home and wear masks and all of that. But it's still, you have that option, like you said, to decide if it aligns with what your original purpose was, which can change too.
Yeah. You know, I think you said, you know, two things that are very significant. Because one of the things that we are so vulnerable to doing is saying that society says success looks like this.
Right.
It's the big house, it's the fancy car, it's the healthy stock portfolio, it's exotic vacations. But you can have all the success as the world defines it and be dreadfully unhappy.
Right.
We all need people like that. You know, if we, whether we listen to society or mom and dad or anybody's voice but our own, we're never going to experience the joy of success because it won't be our success. I think it was Stephen Covey that talked about, you know, climbing the ladder of success and finding it was leaning against the wrong building.
That's a great line, isn't it?
You know, and, you know, that's what we're vulnerable to doing if we have not consciously put that ladder against the building and looked up at the top of that building and made sure it was the right building, that that's really where we wanted to go.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that we frequently do not get to choose our circumstances. You know, whether it's that family business that you grow up and you're expected to take over, or whether it's COVID-19, we always have the freedom to choose our attitude and our response to those circumstances.
Right. Very much. Very
You know,
much.
and I frequently say that our ultimate freedom is the freedom to choose who we will be and who we will become and how we're going to embrace life.
Very true. How is life in California? Is everybody still shut down and they've just, where are you in California?
Sacramento area.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, you know, it's a ongoing, you know, adventure. We were shut down, you know, a lot early, and then we opened up probably too quickly in certain areas, and now we're, you know, somewhat more shut down again. And, you know, we come back to that principle of choice, because what it looks like is that the spiking that we are seeing are coming in a lot of the areas where as soon as things started to reopen, you saw lots of people congregating at bars and you know,
Right.
other locations, other events where you had a lot of people in close proximity to one another.
Right.
And so
So do you do a lot of your, well, I would expect, but do you do a lot of your coaching now online?
yeah,
Just,
you know, and I mean, the cool thing about that is people have been more comfortable embracing technology.
right.
And so people who in the past you might either had to see in person or work with via phone, you know, and who were hesitant to embrace technology that they weren't comfortable with, maybe had not even heard of, you know, are now embracing Zoom and things of that nature,
Right.
because it's always more comfortable to interact with somebody when you can see them.
Right. Right. I agree. Because on the phone, you don't get the expressions, you don't get the animation or the inflection. And I think it's important. So I think everything has changed. I was going to say this has changed, but everything has changed. And we just have to embrace what we can control and let go of what we can't, which, you know,
You know,
is a world pandemic. So it's
yeah, and
great.
I think that as we go forward in whatever the new normal winds up looking like, that, you know, it will not be the old normal.
No, it can't. It can't ever go back.
You know, so my attitude is simply look at life as a grand adventure.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things like about that emotional pillar. It's about resiliency. It's how we deal with change. And you notice that if you go back over your lifetime, how the rate of change has increased exponentially,
Absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely. Yep.
And I just think it's going to continue to do that. We don't have a clue what kind of changes are going to be routine in our life 1 year, 3 years, 5 years down the road.
Well, the only thing that's constant is change.
Yeah.
So embrace it, or, I think you miss out on opportunities.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's an opportunity, like we're taking time to have this discussion, um, to maybe have that coaching session and maybe have that discussion with somebody that just might know more than we do about a segment, or maybe just could help us balance a little bit more of our life so that it's not as big a struggle. And I think that's the goal, is to be peaceful and have some balance. Like you said, it's never 50-50. That life doesn't work that way. But how would people reach you if they wanted to connect with you? On your website?
They can go to my website, or they can simply email me at ada@adalloyd.com.
Okay, I'll put that in the notes. Ada.
And at adalloyd.com. Also, I've got an ebook that I would love to have them download.
Okay.
And all they have to do is go to adalloyd.com/7pillars.
Okay.
And what that will do is that will introduce them to these pillars that I have talked about, so that they can, create a foundation for themselves.
Oh, that would
And,
be great. That would be great.
kind of treat it as a checklist and say, am I comfortable with who I am becoming? Because at the end of the day, I think that's really what matters the most to us, and the legacy that we want to leave for those that we love, is that we have become somebody that is worthy of respect, that has made a contribution to our world and perhaps to the larger world.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I will put that in the notes, that they can reach out to you at your email at ada@adalloyd.com, or they can go to your website and check that out as well, and be able to connect with you. It's been my pleasure. And if anybody else would like to join us, you can reach out to me at Carolyn@inventingdaily.com for any kind of inventing coaching. And Ada, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
It's been fun, Carolyn. Thank you.
And we'll be in touch, okay?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Thanks.